brand.
I see some hands coming up now that we're, yeah, go ahead, David.
Well, just in the technical aspect of it, though, isn't there also a online versus console? You can guarantee that a console game you plug it in and play works, as opposed to something that you share online. Depending on the hardware, and like, what do you guys think about that type of battle?
So the question is about the plug-and-play nature of any console title versus downloading something to your PC, which may or may not work. Or
it's a little, well, see, like the Xbox, as an artist, creative person, Xbox was, okay, wasn't graphically good enough. PC was way better at the time, and the dreams were bigger, and you could do more things on the PC graphically, and with online, with people playing online. So, but now with the 360 and the PS3, I could say that it's definitely more fun in a sense to make for the console because it is something that 100% they're going to be able to get that experience, and whereas the PCs, you go, oh god, I got this video card, I got a video card, and I don't even have online, or this they're going to use a cable modem. I mean, an old modem versus a DSL line or whatever. But
I really enjoyed. Sorry.
Yeah.
If we're going to get into nice. Kind of inevitable PC versus console war, the strength of consoles used to be tray and play, right? And PCs, like God knows what kind of configuration issues you'd have. The strength of console also was that a typical console cost you $200 and a PC cost you $3,000. Well, the reality is now that a typical console costs you $600 if you're buying a PS3, and for $600 you can get a very nice PC that will play just about anything you want to play if it isn't Doom 3. As for tray and play, DirectX has made configuration issues essentially a problem of the past, unless the developer is really stupid.
Well, it's not as bad as it was with configuration issues, but then you just have who knows what kind of system they have. You still have to deal with minimal requirements.
Well, so don't push at the high end. The reason everybody pushed at the high end in the past.
I want that on the box. We didn't push the high end.
Let's go to the next. We'll get these two business questions and we'll move on. Yeah, go ahead.
Advertising's come a few times, and with in-game advertising being this growing thing, and Nielsen working on their own metrics.
You know what? Actually, maybe just in the interest of us getting to know each other a little bit better, why don't you introduce yourself when you ask your questions? Okay.
And also, everyone who asked the question before has to introduce themselves.
Well, Sandy Chen already introduced herself. David Allen, who has helped organize this event. And what's the name of your company?
First Playable.
First Playable Productions. Okay. And you are Ted?
Ted Diefenbach. I was a student game developer at Columbia and working in advertising now, actually, which gives away this question.
Hence your question.
But with new metrics coming out, with it having more and more potential for financial help for budgets, do any of you, obviously, Frank, you do have experience with in-game advertising. How do you see it from a development standpoint affecting the process and the timelines?
Did everyone hear the question?
Yes. From a development standpoint, what it's going to do is make it more of a pain in the ass for me because I'm going to have to integrate all this advertising crap, but all the money's actually going to go to the publisher. So, we're just fucked.
Yeah, actually, I don't. I mean, my games are they're kind of sponsored. They don't really have ads in them, but they are kind of themselves an ad or request for an ad. I think it's a really interesting, complicated issue. I think one of the things that needs to be addressed is if you're going to have advertising in your game, you need the game either needs to be free to the player, or the player needs to see the deal that advertising makes with the consumer is that we'll pay for the TV show, and then you sit through the ad. So if I'm paying $60 for a video game, then there should be ads in it.
I don't think that's
a sports game. The ads actually.
Yeah, it's the interrupting ads versus the product placement.
Totally agree.
And I think the money's going to win there.
Wait a minute, and the meaning.
I mean, going into the future in advertising, regardless of if someone comes to you and says, we're not going to change anything about your game at all, but do you have a kitchen scene? Put a Sub-Zero stove in there instead of a Frigidaire or whatever.
Yeah, that's like product placements.
Yeah, but that's in game advertising.
Yeah, which does happen in movies and stuff, and isn't passed on to the consumer as any kind of.
So the agreement,
Yeah,
I think that's
So it depends on what kind of ad it is.
As long as my Mighty Food Barbarian hero is not wearing an SPP patch and there are no Coke machines in the dungeon. I mean, advertising makes sense in some contexts, but not in others, right?
Let's see the question in the back. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
I'm Steve Masur from Masur Law. I just wanted to expand on Ted's question a little bit. in addition to advertising, what other sort of alternative or other business models have you developed games for, or do you see games being developed for in the future?
So the question is just an open-ended question about new or emerging business models that might mean ways that games are funded, the ways that they're getting revenue, certain kinds of partnerships. Anyone?
I've done games funded by not-for-profits, by foundations.
In general, publishers are definitely looking at all the different avenues, either getting, like I said, in-game advertising as ways to get more money to help the development, from, getting people like manufacturers of, NVIDIA, ATI, pitching in dollars for development of the product, which actually helps because game prices don't really go up much. They haven't really changed that much over a long period of time, but the costs are going up a lot. And publishers really do need that help to get some extra funding. And it shouldn't be totally non-intrusive. I 100% agree. Don't start popping up stuff because people would be really pissed.
Yeah, no, I'm done. Interesting about that is it's not just something that happened now. Before I was running Powerhead, I worked for a bunch of different publishers. One of them was GT Interactive, where I worked on Unreal. And I don't know if many people know the story, but Unreal didn't start as a game developed by Epic for GT Interactive. Oh, hello. I got a kink.
Yeah,
right
you're
oh, sorry.
keep your mic in the middle.
Hello.
Your sore throat is almost off.
Hello. This is secret. So I just wanted to point out that if you didn't know that Unreal actually started as funded by Intel because they had this new chip, the MNX chip.
Wow.
And Epic, Tim was able to get some money for that and helped to fund his demo up to a point where then he could start shopping at the publisher. So I'm not sure what the makeup of the audience is. I recognize a lot of faces, but if there are people looking for alternate funding for their own individual projects, you might want to try outside, additional alternate.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mention that of the, 6 or 7 games that Game Lab is working on now, one of them is funded by a private investor, just a person that wanted to invest in a game. Another one is a partnership with an animation studio here in New York City. And another one is funded by a grant not from the MacArthur Foundation, who actually just last week announced that they're putting $50 million towards youth media and learning, some of which is quite game related. And they're funding a lot of interesting projects, including a software application at my company. So I absolutely agree that there's new funding initiatives.
I have a question for Greg about that, which is through Manifesto. I was curious if you have an idea about for all the games that you're putting out, how they fund it themselves.
It's mostly sweat equity.
Yeah.
So most of the games on, do you want to just explain in a nutshell what Manifesto Games is?
Okay, so Manifesto is basically trying to be an online distribution portal for independently developed games, not casual games, not games aimed at middle-aged women, but games that gamers might actually be interested in. And we basically have gone out and found a whole bunch of games that either are of game styles that no longer get retail distribution because they can't generate +1 million unit sales, like graphic adventures and computer war games and flight sims. A lot of offbeats games, the kinds of things that show up at the Independent Games Festival, a lot of European titles that don't get North American distribution because